Hi, welcome to the Integrated View of Business class. My name is Terry Melankoff and I'll be your instructor. This week in the overview, I'm going to sort of set the stage for what this class is going to be about and what I hope to achieve as the objectives for this class. So you'll notice in the opening slide that I have a visual on the world is flat. Quite a few of our readings this week will reference a Thomas Friedman book called The World is Flat, and I think it helps to create the foundation for where we're going and where we've been in terms of a business environment and how that's going to change looking forward. So class goals, real simple. We're going to focus on how globalization affects businesses. Old business ideology is being reshaped by the integration of technology, by culture and world events. And a failure to recognize these influence makes it very difficult to understand not only the opportunities but the challenges that will be facing businesses going forward. And again, what we want to do here is I want to set you up for success as it pertains to your business life, because we need to look at businesses differently. We need to look at the business environment differently, and I think particularly this first week starts to lay the foundation of why that's going to happen. So the book The World is Flat, you have 3 readings from it, and to sort of paraphrase what you're going to get out of it, and this is not in lieu of reading those readings, I'm just going to highlight some of the key ideas. They talk about globalization, and they talk about 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0, and they're really, Thomas Friedman is dividing it up into 3 main areas of how we have seen this flattening occur. So in terms of a brief history, the first era was just some basic globalization where countries were globalizing. That was about the 1400s to 1800s. Globalization 2.0 is we see that companies begin to globalize and become multinational, 1800 to the 2000s. Globalization 3.0, where we're at right now, is the world becomes flat as individuals and small groups from all nationalities begin to globalize themselves. And you'll see how that plays out. So while we were sleeping, there was 10 levelers that really helped in terms of the flattening of the world. And I'm not going to read through all of them. I'm going to leave this slide up for a minute, but you'll see, and again, these are reiterated with greater detail in your readings, and you got to go back and read those. But the basic premise is that there were 10 major world events, technological breakthroughs that occurred that contribute to the fact that we are now talking about a much, much flatter world when it comes to the flow of business ideas and the whole notion of globalization. So I'm going to leave that slide up for a minute. Take your time, read through it, and then we'll move on. What might be helpful here is to go back and review this video after you've done the reading, and I think a lot more of this will come into context as well. It'll set you up nicely, but I would suggest reviewing it. So what's the takeaway from this week and the takeaways from the reading? Real simple. Power of technology makes it easier for individuals and small business to stand out in a global marketplace. And you can see this in even small ideas like a website like Etsy, where nano vendors from all over the world can sell their products. What this means is that large and small businesses alike are looking for ways to transform or stay competitive. It is a whole new ballgame. You have a reading, 2 readings from, as I refer to Howard Schultz. Howard Schultz has done some really brilliant things that are worth noting. In one of the readings, it's from the New York Times. It's called the Corner Office series. Howard Schultz talks about the fact that every enterprise needs to find and evolve the structure, system, and culture that best allows it to stay competitive at as its specific market shifts. Business leaders need to be creative, adaptive, and focused in their techniques, staffing, and philosophy. Why did I pick Howard Schultz? Howard Schultz has been able to think about the coffee shop concept in a way that's different than any other coffee shop. And what he's recognized is the role of technology. He's recognized this idea of creating experience, and he's been able to take that Starbucks brand and sell it across the world. So he's got some interesting ideas. I think he's a real creative thinker, and that's why I have you with some of his readings for this week is because I like the way he thinks about the flat world. He also adds that it's about seeing what other people don't see and pursuing that vision no matter who tells you not to. And again, what Howard Schultz has been able to do is been able to look at that coffee industry and build a global brand in a way that no one else has been able to do. A lot of this class is built on the readings found in the Fast Company magazine, and I think Fast Company does an absolutely outstanding job of writing stories about the challenges and the opportunities that we'll be talking about throughout the course of this class. So the first reading that will introduce you to Fast Company is entitled Generation Flux. And there's a couple quotes from that article that I want to share as part of this PowerPoint because I think it does a great job of really defining where we're going. But what Safin says in the article is that the pace of change in our economy and our culture is accelerating, and that acceleration is fueled by global adoption of social, mobile, and other new technologies, and our visibility about the future is declining. And that has to do with the pace of change. So things are changing so rapidly that clarity about what this future is going to look like, it's not what it used to be. And he goes on to talk about ambiguity and adaptivity. And he says, if ambiguity is high and adaptability is required, then you simply can't afford to be sentimental about the past. Future focus is a signature trait of Generation Flux. It's also an imperative for businesses. Trying to replicate what worked yesterday only leaves you vulnerable as a business. And we see a lot of catch-up businesses falling into that trap. Every enterprise needs to find and evolve the structure, system, and culture that best allows it to stay competitive as its specific market shifts. Business leaders need to be creative, adaptive, and focused in their techniques, staffing, and philosophy. And that is going to build the foundation for this class. Safin quotes in the article, and it's a great way to end week one, is that Darwin definitely had it figured out. To flourish requires a new kind of openness. More than 150 years ago, Charles Darwin foreshadowed this era in his description of natural selection. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is one that is most adaptable to change. True for people, true for businesses. So that's the start of laying the premise and foundation for this class. It's the overview of week one. You have 5 readings that are outlined in week one. And we also have the project interview with an entrepreneur, which should hopefully be your opportunity to take some of the key ideas from those readings and apply that in a conversation with an entrepreneur. I would do the readings first and then get your interview scheduled, but do the readings first and then go back through and try to apply some of this class content within the scope of the interview. Any questions, comments, or concerns, please contact me directly. I would rather have you, contact me for further clarification than get stuck. So I hope you enjoy this class as much as I do, and have a good week.